And welcome to Network. My name is Pumela Lezondi with your technology and social media news. It's SABC Network. Now, that's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. This week, Twitter poll is asking us about beta testing that WhatsApp is going through. You can apparently make calls of up to 32 people. We're asking if this is something that you think is necessary. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Firstly, here's what's coming up in this particular episode. The IEC is partnering with tech companies ahead of the 2024 national elections. We have details on the Bold Woman Network tech conference that happened recently. In our conversation, we find out about the Competition Commission's tough ruling on tech giants. The Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa is embarking on a process of helping people fight what could be misinformation on social media as we are heading to the 2024 elections. They've partnered with some tech companies in order to try and resolve this and educate the public. Here's a producer, Faith Manzini.
The Electoral Commission has partnered with social media organizations Google, Meta, TikTok, and non-profit organization Media Monitoring Africa to curb disinformation ahead of South Africa's 2024 national and provincial elections. The IEC has worked with these platforms in the past two general elections, but this is the first time that a framework of cooperation was signed.
Social media is an important advancement in our democratic space. It has taken, if you like, a center stage in the political discourse of many democracies around the world. So it is something that one cannot ignore, to the extent that it has capacity to influence human behavior. It has the capacity to shape human and political opinion, including the views of South African voters.
The IEC says the framework is important to curb false information intended to unduly affect participation in and the outcome of elections. Media Monitoring Africa says it was important for them to be part of this partnership as disinformation has posed danger globally.
We've seen globally the threats that online harms, mis and disinformation, incitements and hate speech, for example, have contributed to undermining democracies. We saw, people actually going and attacking the Capitol in the United States, a well-established democratic country, because of the way that they were incited to by the president, using social media to do so.
In recent years, social media has seen a stream of disinformation or fake news. TikTok says it takes the responsibility to protect South Africa's democracy seriously.
When it comes to democratic processes such as elections, we are aware that there are certain, I would say, online harms that occur that we do not want to happen on our platform and interfere with democratic processes such as elections. So our community guidelines specifically do not allow for people to spread harmful misinformation, especially on the platform.
Many may wonder how this will practically work, as it seems a huge challenge to monitor people on so many different social media platforms. Media Monitoring Africa offers a complaint platform called real411.org and padre.org.za as a tool.
So we operate two platforms. The one is the Real 411, so that's an independent public complaints platform. So people, if they see something dodgy, they think it's mis or disinformation or another kind of online harm, they report it in there. It gets adjudicated by a minimum of 4 people, and it fits within the IEC's complaints mechanism. So the IEC is made aware of it as the complaint is lodged, and the IEC can then determine whether or not they require issues may require further investigation. We then are able to assess that based according to the criteria that are laid out on the site, and we can determine if we think this is disinformation as MMA, as Real 411, for example. We can then send it to the platform and ask them to take appropriate action in relation to that.
Those who are found guilty, action will be taken by the platforms in terms of their policies and may include the removal of the content, the publication of an advisory warning, and/or the dislisting of the post.
The partnership with them is to ensure that when recommendations are made, they can use their own internal governance mechanisms to look at the recommendation and decide what course of action to take.
We invest in technology, machine learning and our algorithms to make sure that we get rid of misinformation when it comes onto our platform. So automatically, proactively, we remove tons and tons, millions in fact, of that information even before our users have seen it. But there are instances where some of it, makes it still to the platform. That's where we then rely on our other users reporting it, or our team of fact checkers or our team of moderators actually going through those videos and analyzing what is being said, and then we take appropriate action.
Google says they have always supported South Africa's democracy process, including supporting elections integrity and ensuring trust amongst voters. All the partners stressed that this is not to censor people, but to protect them from the harms of disinformation and fake news.
It is Women's Month, and a group of women met in Midrand near Johannesburg to discuss some of the issues that impact them in the tech space under the banner of the Bold Woman Network.
The purpose of this event is really to bring women together and to ensure that we talk all things technology. And I think the reason for that, we've gotten to see that a lot of women, find it so challenging to actually engage with technology and actually use it in their daily lives. And then they're so not aware that in everything that they do, the devices that they are holding, it's part of them actually enabling themselves with technology. So the whole purpose of this event is to say, as women, let's come together, let's talk all things technology, let's talk all things how can it actually sustain me as a business owner, but also sustain me in my career to reach to the new heights. So the whole purpose of that is to say, women, let's come together, let's talk all things tech.
When we look at where we are in terms of STEM, as I walked in this morning, I met young girls that are already telling me that they're doing coding. And for me, this is very important. But also, the CIO of Messer is a woman. And that's, for me, it's a stride that we've made, but it's not enough. We got to actually make sure that we pace ourselves up, but we're not going to give this challenge to men. I'm giving the challenge to women to step up a bit and take their rightful position in the marketplace and lead, but obviously with the right enabling environment that makes them to thrive, which is inclusion, diversity, and equality.
These type of initiatives today can really just open that conversation for additional investment in women, and in particularly associated to the ICT industry, so that it can allow them to realize those opportunities. And one day, as more women move up in the ranks in the ICT industry, it will then automatically change that shift and that imbalance.
It's quite important to empower a girl child. It's quite important to empower ladies. As it was discussed in the session, women need to be out there, especially and not to be intimidated by tech. Tech is not a male industry. Tech is for everyone, and women need to be in the forefront, not only in tech, but in all spheres of society.
Jam pack of speakers. We had Uapiwe, who has started her own platform of educating young women to get into science and to get into to Matt also, and I think for me it's us bridging the gap to say we need to ensure that technology touches everyone from the rural of the rurals, but also all the way up.
It is the SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we chat about the Competition Commission's ruling against a number of big tech giants. It is the SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Welcome back. Now, the Competition Commission has found that a lot of big tech companies are not doing enough to support business in South Africa, and these are small entrepreneurs that they feel they need to benefit from these big tech companies. They find that they are too large for competition to actually properly exist. We met up with some small businesses to find out what they think about these findings by the Competition Commission.
South Africa's competition watchdog has fined Google for abusing its market power in the online advertising space. The Competition Commission found that the tech giant had been altering its search engine results to give priority to big companies. Some tech commentators say this meant that other companies were bumped down the list and saw traffic levels drop.
The sad part is small businesses won't have the level of engineers that big corporates have, so you already don't have the capital. But something that would somewhat possibly look fair is leveling the playing field, where it's like maybe search engines are skewed in such a way where it's like you're giving small businesses the chance to appear more. I think something that could possibly be fair is also like having the big people endorse the smaller companies because they have more credibility, right? If you look at it from Coca-Cola and a brand that I don't know, I am less likely to take a brand that I don't know than I am to take Coca-Cola, for example. I know it's a bad example, but I think that is sort of like the general public consensus that we would we go more with trusted brands, whether it's German cars as opposed to locally made cars.
The ruling will benefit small and medium-sized businesses that want to utilize the online space.
I think it's fantastic. Whenever we have government policy behind any intent, it tends to go faster. So it is important that we have government policies that advocate for the inclusion of women, and also creating access to digital tools that many of these companies can provide. So it is very important that these policies are worked in partnership with the companies to ensure that they are also fit for use for women and girls.
This begs the question of whether tech giants are monopolizing the continent's relaxed regulations surrounding technology.
They know and understand the landscape of the technological ecosystem. So things like your SEO, things like digital marketing, they understand the end user and they understand how to market to the end user. And that's why they have a lot of capital to pay for people to understand people's psychology and how to get the consumer hooked on a particular thing, how to get a user for life, how to interlink certain products. Like, for example, Nike, the assets that they sell, it's not just shoes. They've got caps, they've got t-shirts, they've got clothes, they've got so many other things that they are marketing to the user, and it's not just a single product. So I think it's just understanding the psyche of an individual and how to even market it better.
Google Communications and Public Affairs Manager Siya Madigane responded to the Commission findings via a statement saying, some link this to the exclusion of black female companies.
ICT is of a bigger challenge because ICT is an accelerator of business, of growth, of every aspect of life. Actually, any industry's growth can be accelerated using digital. Now, there's a root cause to this, and that is the issue of access to STEM education for girls. There are several biases that women have faced growing up, and one of them is the lack of access to STEM education, and it comes from the home, where girls right from a young age are not encouraged to go into STEM education, and in many cases they don't see a lot of role models. So we're doing a lot of work to ensure that we can promote STEM education. We're working with organizations like Girl Up to ensure that we continue to inspire more women, create leadership opportunities, coaching as well as scholarships.
The Commission imposed 3 remedial actions focusing on improving paid search results for smaller South African platforms, including that Google must introduce a new platform site unit to display smaller South African platforms. Large tech giants in countries like the UK and France have all recently come under scrutiny as the conversation around regulations grow.
To talk to us more about these findings is Mthokozisi Luthuli. He's a lecturer in the entrepreneurship department at the Durban University of Technology and also project leader of an event called the Practice Entrepreneurship. Hello, and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Mthokozisi. Maybe if you can start by explaining what the Competition Commission actually does.
Say it's one of those government agencies, or rather, if you want to call it, it's an antitrust, that is aimed at making sure that small economies, you understand, they are given an opportunity to argue their points in terms of making sure that the mergers, and other transactions that are related to the South African economies, they allow for competition to take place.
Why do they see the need to investigate these big tech companies?
Because what they discovered actually was that a lot of emerging companies, they were not able to thrive as a result of gatekeeping strategies, you understand, by the so-called big techs, you understand. So then they had to investigate in order to allow them the opportunity for them to build their economies, and not only build them but also thrive. Whereas right now, as I'm talking to you, the country is facing a scourge of these economies being blocked or restricted in one way or another.
And now, with their findings saying that they stifle competition, how does the Competition Commission suggest that they help out the small players?
Basically, after the realization, because what the government did was to investigate this problem, as I would have alluded. So they came up with a suggestion that maybe if we can just have a South African flag as a way to brand all the South African products or merchandise thereof, then maybe it will make it better for me as a customer in South Africa to identify very easily that this is a South African product. Then I'm at liberty as a customer to decide whether or not.
Do you think it's going to help to have that flag, the South African flag, on the side of the businesses on Google at all?
Well, in response to that, I would say partially, because really the bigger problem here is to reshape the mentality of the South African people, right? Because over the years, we have been socialized into thinking if something comes from the South African market, then it is not good enough. So to answer you, I would say partially it will resolve the problem. So rather, I would have the government invest more time in resolving, the mindset of the South Africans. That is to say, we can have campaigns that are rallying behind making sure that as a South African, whenever I'm seeing a South African product or a merchandise, I see the need beyond buying. That is to say, I want to invest because I know it has implications on the South African economy.
So why do you think it's important for small entrepreneurs to get this kind of assistance?
Well, I'll respond on the basis of being a lecturer that teaches about business and entrepreneurship. So basically, I would say there is a need for it because South African has a brilliant ideas, and students in particular keeps coming up with brilliant concepts. They come up with prototypes and so many other important things that I know for sure they can drive in the industry, but they are limited by all these restrictions that comes from big tech companies and so on and so forth. So should the government decide to take this approach, and make sure that this sketch is taken care of. It would mean elevating these young economies and making sure that we are on par with everything.
All right, so now you're putting together Praxis Entrepreneurship. What's that event all about?
Well, the initiative started last year. I introduced it when I joined the department. Basically, it's about teaching the youngsters that we need to go beyond the four walls of the classroom. So they are basically taking the knowledge of what we teach them in class and they are putting it into practice. And why is that so? Because we are trying to demystify this mindset that I need to be employed. So we are saying to them, you need to be an employment creator rather than a job seeker. So that's what the initiative is about. They are taking the knowledge that they would have accumulated over a period of 3 years and they are putting it into execution. They are just becoming aspiring entrepreneurs for a day. So that's what the initiative is all about.
All right, thank you very much for being a part of our network. He's a project leader of an event called Praxis Entrepreneurship. He's also a lecturer in the entrepreneurship program at the Durban University of Technology. It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za on email. Stay with us. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Welcome back. Here's what else took place in the tech space.
Hundreds of Kenyans had been queuing in long lines in shopping malls and public centers all over the capital city of Nairobi. Many of them said they came after they heard that free money was being given in exchange for a scan of their eyes. Nairobi resident Kevin Masikara told local news that he found out about WorldCoin online and decided to have his iris scanned for a bit of extra cash.
Nilipata online. Kwa online kuapply wakaniambia niende hadi town center. Kukuja hadi KCC. Kukuja hadi hapa nikapata watu wanapanga laini. Nikaapply wakaniambia iende ipigwe picha alafu ndio nipate hizo do.
So first of all, no two human beings around the world have the same set of eyes. And the iris in particular has what we call very high entropy. And entropy is richness in data. And so with just the iris and the iris code, we can be able to create a database of unique humans around the world without their name, their age, their country, no other information, none whatsoever.
Kenya's Interior Ministry said that it had suspended the local activities of the cryptocurrency project while government agencies assess potential risks to public safety.
They're scanning iris and they're collecting this critical data about humanity, or what they quote unquote say to be a good way for proof of humanity. How would this then increase the value in the short term? In the long term, perhaps if the demand for such kind of data increases, then you would say that it would be sold to the highest bidder.
The project, founded by OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, requires users to give their iris scans in exchange for a digital ID. And in some countries, users also get free cryptocurrency as part of plans to create a new identity and financial network. The project has also come under scrutiny in Britain, Germany, and France. And now in the UK. The metaverse just got real with a combination of an immersive virtual reality workout and an electromuscle stimulation, or EMS, that makes your brain think you are actually lifting those weights. Valkyrie Industries, a UK-based tech startup, is using its patent wearable technology to bring the gym, equipment, and fitness trainer to you wherever you are.
The Valkyrie Industries started about 6 years ago between my co-founder and I. We were spun out from Imperial College of London with the idea to create a new type of haptic interaction for virtual simulation. So that includes VR, AR, and now mixed reality, MR, which is the future of all our immersive technology headsets.
EMS has been used in sports medicine for decades, primarily to relieve muscle pain, increase blood flow to muscles, and facilitating muscle training. Research from global sports science institutions has shown that EMS increases muscle mass and thickness, as well as strength and overall cardiovascular fitness.
WhatsApp is going through some beta tests of having voice calls of up to 32 people. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you if this is something that you think is necessary. And that's it. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network. Now, that's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's newsnetwork@sabc.co.za. On email from me, Spumelele Zondi, and the rest of the network team. Have a good one. Bye-bye.